Welcome to the Sarah Finkelstein Show, where the next 10 minutes can change your life. Also on Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. Here's Sarah.
Hi, and today's topic is an IRA risky? Well, first of all, I guess I need to define what is an IRA. So an IRA is an individual retirement account. It's only on one person's name. You cannot have a joint IRA. It's only one person can be the owner of an IRA. And oftentimes people say, "Oh, an IRA, yeah, that's risky." No, not necessarily. It depends how you have your IRA invested. So you can have your IRA be extremely conservative, like having it in your local bank, for example, in a money market account. Well, a money market account doesn't really pay a lot of interest. And the whole idea behind having an IRA is for your future retirement needs. So if you have your IRA sitting in a money market account, it's not growing. It's defeating the purpose of having an IRA. You could also have your IRA be a bank CD, certificate of deposit, which same issue there is it's really not growing. A typical CD interest rate might be 1%, whereas inflation is 9% currently. So in actuality, you are losing money by having your money sitting in a bank CD for your retirement purposes. Your IRA could be invested in individual stocks. Yes, that can be risky. It could also be sitting in bonds, which is more conservative. It could be sitting in mutual funds as well, which do go up and down with the market. Mutual funds are having your money in the market where the money goes up and the money goes down. But it's important to have an IRA for each year. In other words, you should make your contributions into your IRA each and every year. You don't want to skip a year. You want to take advantage of what the government allows us to do for our future, your future retirement. So, for example, how much can you contribute into your individual retirement account? Well, if you are 50 years old or younger, you can contribute $6,000 per year each and every year. If you're over the age of 50, the government allows you to contribute an additional $1,000 so that you can contribute a total of $7,000 a year towards your retirement account, your IRA. By which date should you be making your contributions? So for example, you need to make your $6,000 if you're 50 or younger, or $7,000 contribution by tax filing date, which is April 15 of the following year. So that is your deadline. You want to make sure that you contribute your $6,000 or $7,000 by April 15 of the following year for that year. So for example, in order to make your contribution for the year of, let's say, 2022, you want to make sure that by April 15 of 2023, you've made your full contribution. Now, there's no contribution limit if you're rolling over. For example, let's say you work for an employer and you're no longer working for that employer. Your 401k money that you had at your employer can be rolled over into an IRA, and there's no contribution limits. In other words, if you have $100,000 in your 401k at that previous employer, you could roll over that whole amount into an IRA, and there's no tax consequence because you're not taking money out of it. You're just rolling it over from one vehicle to another. So it's important to always make sure that your retirement funds are growing. That's what we need for our future retirement monies, is we need our money to be growing. And depending upon your risk tolerance level would determine where you invest your retirement dollars. Think of an IRA as a wrapper. It's not specifically a risky investment, and it's not specifically a conservative investment. It depends where you have it. The wrapper is the IRA. So it could be money market, it could be a bank CD, it could be stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. It depends upon your risk level tolerance as to how you invest your IRA money. And of course, the younger you are, that means that you have a longer time horizon ahead of you before you will need to tap into those vehicles. So again, it's important to take advantage of this because this is, the government allows us to do this. So by all means, take full advantage of it and do not miss a year of making your IRA contributions. Now, there's two different ways that you can save for your future retirement dollars if you're doing an IRA. And that is, one is the traditional IRA. Now, what is that? The traditional IRA allows you to get a tax deduction off your income tax for your contribution. So you're not paying taxes on it up front. What you're doing is you're deferring the taxes into the future. So you're getting a tax deduction on that contribution. But then when you start to tap into those monies down the road, decades from now, all of that money will be fully taxable. Or you could take advantage of a Roth IRA, which with a Roth IRA, you do not get a tax deduction off of your income tax return. It is considered after-tax dollars. So that Roth IRA is growing for you tax-free, meaning that you'll never have to pay taxes on those dollars once you withdraw them. Now, keep in mind, if you tap into your 401k or your IRA and you're younger than 59 and a half, you will have a 10% tax penalty for that withdrawal. So you want to make sure not to tap into those dollars before you're 59 and a half, because not only will you have to pay regular taxes on your 401k or your traditional IRA, but you'll also have a 10% tax penalty on top of that. So it's all about planning. Planning is very important. Remember, people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. So it's all about the planning. And if you are not sure if you are on the right track to meet your future financial goals, take advantage of this free report. Just go to www.financialfitnessforever.com and you can download a free report right there. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions about anything in relations to IRAs or 401k rollovers or anything at all, feel free to reach out to me. And I want to take a moment to say thank you to trcvoiceovers.com for the fabulous intro and outro to this podcast.
Knowledge is power, but only when you implement what you've learned to your own benefit. Tune in next time for even more powerful tips on The Sarah Finkelstein Show.